Hello and welcome to our post-match show after a fantastic result and performance at home to QPR. To talk us through it, we've got former Huddersfield Town reporter and well-known legend around Huddersfield, Mel Booth, and former Huddersfield Town goalkeeper, Phil Senior. I can imagine you're both buzzing after that.
Yeah, it was fantastic. Yeah, really good. Thanks, Adam. Yeah, it was a great performance, especially after Tuesday night, to bounce back from that real low down at Cardiff and to come back and perform like that. The goals came at good times. We got a great start, and then to score just before half-time gave us that measure of control. Never really looked like losing it either, so I thought it was great, and I'm sure Phil agrees.
Yeah, I think it's like the new norm at the moment, isn't it? We have a couple of good performances and we follow it up with a couple of stinkers. So it's pleasing to see the kind of performance we saw today. As I sat watching it, it were reminiscent of the year we went up with Wagner in terms of it was just a comfortable watch. We were so in control and we had a clear way of playing, which we've been crying out for 2 years really, and yeah, it was a good result.
How dynamic was some of that football, especially in the first half?
Yeah, I think QPR. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think that the opposition weren't great, but I think it was the bravery on the ball and the way that everybody was willing to receive in tight areas and to move the ball quickly. And this is what the fans have been after for a long time, and I think we're starting to see it now. Obviously, with the players we had on the pitch, we're able to do so. I think that's our strongest 11 now, and it all kind of came together today.
And Mel, we were speaking before the start of this show, and we were saying obviously there's some fans around the grounds in the EFL today. Obviously, we can't have them in because we're in Tier 3, but can you imagine how much they'd have enjoyed some of those passages of play?
Yeah, they would have loved it, especially first half when it was so fluent. There was a lot more urgency about the passing. People were giving each other options, and it looked really good. It was well organised. It was well thought out. And, the players themselves, there was a lot of individual skill. So, yeah, there was a lot going on for Town going forward. It was very inventive. It was dangerous. You could really see that the game plan coming together. And, some of the link-up play down the left, with Toffolo and Karoma and Lewis O'Brien joining in. And on the other side, you got sort of Carol Eiting, Pippa and Isaac Mbenza. And really, QPR didn't know what to do with us at all. And, the spine was so solid as well. You tend to overlook it. But, until Shindy went off, which was really unfortunate. But, him and Naby Sarr have been really solid at the back. And Jonathan Hogg in front of them. That spine there, that really strong centre to the team, gives everyone confidence to play. And it came from Ben Hamer. I thought he used the ball much better today as well. And the whole thing just came together really nicely. And as I said, sort of it all gelled around those goals being scored at just the right times as well. One early on, one just before half time.
Yeah, definitely.
And it was terrific.
Yeah, that early goal, Phil, was absolutely all about John Roma, wasn't it? It was a fantastic strike.
He's kind of got that knack, hasn't he, for cutting in at that side and kind of shaping a ball to the other side of the keeper. And he's tried it on a number of occasions, and I think it's working well for him this year. I mean, the defending was absolutely abysmal. I was sat there thinking someone's going to close him in a second, and it kind of just parted like the Red Sea, and it was. So yeah, it was a great finish. Great finish.
I think Toffs deserves a lot of credit as well, Phil and Adam, because he was. It'll be Carol Eiting who gets the assist as far as I'm concerned, because he passed the ball through, but Toffs jumped over it, and then he made a fantastic decoy run, which sort of took a couple of the QPR defenders. They were sort of glancing him as well, and as Phil said, it just parted in the middle for Karoma. But what a finish! It was a great finish, but I think Toffs deserves a massive amount of credit as well.
This is what we've kind of been missing out with Mel, kind of like the forward runs, even if that player's not going to receive the ball, the willingness to create space for others makes a massive difference. And again, today you could see a number of players breaking in towards the box, into the box, and it just creates space for everybody else. And it's like you say, it's great to see. I was slightly worried at the start of the game. I think Toff had a great game, but some of his battles early doors, he lost them. You know, there was an aerial battle straight away that he gave away easy, and a couple of one-on-ones down the left-hand side. But you know, sometimes what he lacks within that defensive capabilities going forward is absolutely immense and a massive part of the way that we play.
Yeah, he's brought us a different dimension, Phil, hasn't he? He's, you know,
Yeah.
he really has. You know, opposition cannot ignore him. He's going down there and he's a real attacking threat. And as you say, what were those little bits that maybe he can improve on defensively for what he gives us going forward? It's just a massive bonus. He's been a fantastic signing for the club.
Yeah.
There's no two ways about it.
Yeah, and he could have scored obviously 2 minutes later as well. It was a good stop from the keeper, but another fantastic move.
Yeah, if he goes a little bit higher with that shot there, it's a goal because the keeper's wrong-footed. It's a difficult one for a keeper, and it's funny when we always talk about these strikers, and the best people to coach a striker for me is a goalkeeper, because he can give you all the little bits of information, and just a little dink into that corner there without any pace on would have beaten that keeper straight away, because the save was a good save, but he had to strip away his feet from that position, and he would never have made a save in the corner of the goal.
Yeah, so we've mentioned the passages of play a little bit, but in that first half, we could have scored 4, couldn't we? I mean, some of the moves, how the team broke together, the transitional play, Mel, was absolutely magnificent.
Yeah, it was, and you know, you need selfless running. You need sensible running, but you need selfless running as well. And not a lot worked out for Fraser Campbell, but what a shift he put in up front, and you know, anchored around that, it created space for other people to work with. And as we've said, both down the right and down the left, we were very strong. We could have, even if we'd gone for the jugular even more, which I think we could have done, you know, we really could have reaped the rewards. There were times when Isaac Mbenza gets the ball and dallies a little bit, instead of just either knock it into the space and going past people, or cutting inside, or just getting a cross off. You know, there are times when I think we can go for the jugular even now much more than we have done. So that's really encouraging, because it was good today. And there were so many different facets to it, with people in midfield adding to it, the wide men doing well, good central core to the attacks, as we've mentioned already. And there was a lot to enjoy and a lot to build on going forward.
Yeah. I mean, that position that Hoggy plays, it was like back to what it was used to be like. It was on the ball. I know they allowed a lot of space in midfield, but the ability for Hoggy to get on the ball and just play those short passes and get us playing, it was just like how we used to play. And like you say, it was great to watch. And for me, that's where the game was won, the middle of the pitch, because the willingness to get on the ball, move the ball quickly, which allows everybody up the top then to do the little bits of magic like we've seen.
Yeah, Phil's right, because we didn't give QPR a chance to get into the game, really. I know they didn't start well, and they looked a bit sluggish and, you know, not really working as a team, but I don't think we allowed them to either. So, yeah.
Well, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're showing for the ball in midfield from the fullbacks, and the opposition team know that you're actually getting out by doing this, sometimes they will just sit back, because they know that the effectiveness of what you are doing is going to enable us to get up the pitch. So by doing that more and more, it allowed us to get up the pitch a little bit quicker, and it was brilliant.
Yeah, it's a really valid point as well, because in some of those transitions, we're focusing a lot on the wide areas and our strengths in those areas. But it was Lewis O'Brien and Carol Eiting who were making those and offering the diagonal passes, wasn't it, that then kept that transition moving forwards? The whole team's got a massive part to play in this.
Yeah, definitely. And like you just mentioned earlier, you know, probably one of Mbenza's quieter games, but some of his quality from wide areas when he puts the ball in, I mean, we've always had a bit of a discussion over the years while he's been here, and I always said, and I've mentioned to a couple of people, that he has got bags of ability, and the balls that he puts in are fantastic. And like I say, from that pronged attack where we've got two players now who've got some quality from wide areas, whether it's just a simple 5-yard pass from the corner of the 18-yard box to find Eiting who's on the edge, just something as simple as that is making a difference at the moment going forward.
Yeah, Isaac Mbenza looks a much more confident player this season than he has done previously. And I think whatever the coaching staff have said to him, they're certainly getting much more out of him. And he looks to be enjoying it much more as well. And
he looks happy, doesn't he?
He does look happy, yeah. And I've said before about Carol Eiting, I think that guy's just got a touch of class. On the ball, he can spot a pass. He'll make a run that distracts the defence. He brings an awful lot to the party, to be fair. And it's not been his greatest game today, Carol Eiting, but he does bring an awful lot to it. And, he was... as I say, I think he'll be claiming the assist for the first goal, even though the pass was played inside our half. And, and it was great to see. It was a really good quality second goal as well. I'm sure you want to talk about that, Adam, as well.
Mel, these outfielders, they'll claim anything. A goal, an assist, anything. They're going to take it, even if it's not relevant, they'll still take it.
All right. Well, to join you keepers, I think Ben Hamer did use the ball very well actually from the back today, because we've played ourselves into trouble at the back too often this season. But today, that out ball, the one out wide, the little clearance pass out to relieve pressure was much better today. Not just from Ben, but from other players as well. And that out ball's got to be part of our game.
Definitely, and if you notice the amount of space he had for error in his kicks was massive. So you can see they're working on this in training, because it wasn't a tight. There seems to be a lot of expectancy for a pinpoint accuracy ping from a goalkeeper when you're the last line of defence, and if you get it wrong, you're in trouble. So the pressure's there, not just in that kick from the outset after that. And we seem to allow a lot more room for error for his kicks. And today everything was very accurate and precise, and it helped us then to move forward.
It's interesting that, because we had Rob Green on the pre-match show ahead of today, and he was saying when he came to town in the David Wagner days, that his role was like a quarterback. Do you think, Phil, that's a role that's kind of developed over the last few years as a goalkeeper? There's so much more emphasis now, isn't there, on the build phase from them?
Yeah, I think you've got to be a bit braver nowadays. I think the work that you've got to do in training is a little bit different to what we would. I think there's less emphasis on catching a ball. I might be wrong, but there's definitely a lot of emphasis on this. Playing out from the back, and I do think it helps that players respond to it. So there's probably more options to goalkeepers now than what there was when I would receive a ball rolling back to me. Generally, the ball would roll back to me, and you'd see the back of your own players as well. Whereas now there's a lot of options, but again, you do have to be brave and be prepared, obviously, to make a few mistakes along the way. Yeah,
absolutely. And Mel, you mentioned the second goal. We'll go through that now. It was another really good team move, wasn't it? Sealed off with Harry Toffolo's first goal at the John Smiths.
Yeah, and he was in there at the start of it, I think, Adam, as well. He was the one who nodded it to Lewis O'Brien in the first place before he played it out to Karoma. He just nodded it inside, and then he was off on another run. And he really made it quite easy for Karoma to just slot the ball into his path, and a really confident finish. And we've seen it was similar, although from not quite as tight an angle, to the first goal he scored for us down at Derby, if you remember that. And it was, a really good finish. He's not scared of having a pop, and he could have scored, as we mentioned already. We could have scored. He's not a bad finisher either, so he could have scored more. But I'm really pleased for him, because I think he's been a terrific addition. Not just from the ability he brings to the team, from his character around the squad. I think he's a really solid footballer, and I think we're going to see the best years of him as well. So I think we're fortunate in that regard. It was a super goal when you look at it.
Yeah, we talked a lot about him and Josh, but their relationship, Phil, down that left-hand side is really just getting better and better by week. It is blossoming.
Yeah, you can see it's a great understanding, and going back to what I mentioned earlier, the quality is really important. If Toffolo keeps making these runs and the final ball isn't where it needs to be for him, he's going to make it less and less. And they obviously have a good understanding there, where if he cuts inside, there's always still an option to play the ball in behind, and then vice versa. So it looks really promising at the moment, and I think Pippa's first game back, obviously it wasn't one of his better games, but You can see that understanding on the other side as well. How there's always that out ball from Mbenza, and if Pippa pushes forward, you can see Mbenza now is dropping back and holding a position. Today you could see him turn and run back into a position where, as before, he probably wouldn't really take on that responsibility. So I think it's looking good for both sides. And like today's team, as we mentioned, I think that's our strongest team that we've got. And if we can keep that kind of momentum going with the players, it'd be interesting to see where we go. Obviously, this season now with COVID, it's a little bit different, and people have to be rested, which is a shame, really, because I think we could have kicked on a little bit more than what we have done.
Yeah,
I agree there, Phil. I think that there's going to be, with this sort of Saturday Tuesday scenario. Obviously, when you get an injury today like Shinde, we've already got Richard Stearman out. It means Romani Edmonds Green is going to be right in the forefront probably for several games now. And they're coming thick and fast against very testing opposition, and the lads have just got to step up, haven't they?
Yeah, I think, like you say, it's a good time for it. I don't think we're expecting anything from this season. We're just expecting a better season than what we saw last year. The football already is 10 times better. So I think it's a good season for these young kids now to have a real good chance. Obviously, Schindler's injury, I'm not sure how long it'll be, but it looks like it might be medial or something like that, the way he went down. So it's going to be a bit of a layoff, that really, especially with his age and recovery time. So it's a chance for people to step up. But I think what would help the team and these young lads is if we can keep performing like we are doing going forward. It gives them a little bit of a cushion, just in case anything doesn't work out as you would expect from a young player, because it's not easy to step in. Nathan Clark, when he stepped in when he was younger, he had a lot of experienced players around him, and it was in a time where we were quite a solid team. So it's an easier transition in that sense, but. It's looking good, really.
We've spoken about Rams in quite a few post-match shows as well, Mel. You've obviously seen glimpses of him. He's stepped in, and when he's come in, he's done a decent job, especially the Borough win last Saturday. I thought he was excellent in that one. So you always say for young players, chances fall to them through injury or other circumstances, and they really have to grab hold and take them. And maybe this is his chance.
Yeah, I think so. I expected to have seen a lot more of Romani Edmonds Green by now, to be honest. It's just unfortunate that he was injured at the start of the season. I mean, he went away to Swindon last year, won the League Two title with them, impressed everybody down there. They loved him, didn't they? The fans loved him as well. He's got a lot of ability. He can play as a right-sided centre-back. He can play at right-back. So he gives us good options. I could even see him playing in midfield, to be honest. But he's a young lad who needs nurturing in the right way. He's got all the ability that he needs. He's got all the strengths. Aerially on the deck, he's really good. He's a strong physical frame. So he's a really good prospect, is Romani. And, this could be the opportunity. The guys who've been in there, the more experienced guys, have obviously held the team together in this first third of the season and helped do that. And he's had to wait his time. He's had to just, make those little nuggets and just try to grasp onto them. But now this might be an opportunity for 2, 3, 4 games, however long, to really stake a claim and show what he's about. And I'm sure he'll be determined to do that because, he took that chance down at Swindon last season and he'll be delighted to get a championship chance with us.
Yeah, he made a good start for us as well, didn't he, when he's played the few games that he has. He's looked composed. He's looked like a defender that I'd like to play behind. You know what you're going to get from him, a bit of pace. The only obviously question marks will come from maybe height and aerial ability. But I think that kind of that a bit of experience with that will come. I think it's a different game to what it used to be. I don't think that threat in the air in the championship level is what it used to be. So there's no reason why he can't kick on really in these next couple of games.
No, alongside Naby Sarr as well. I think they're actually quite a good partnership.
Yeah,
I really do.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned the aerial challenges that he will have. He actually went on loan at Brighouse Town to kind of combat those issues and to get used to big physical strikers. So hopefully that will have done him a world of good for when he is playing against big physical men in the Championship. But on a defensive point of view, QPR, they only had 4 shots, 2 on target. Defensively for Town, it was a really solid performance, wasn't it, Phil?
Yeah, they look solid. I don't think they really had to work hard for it. I think the back four, it wasn't one of those defensive displays where we broke up attacks and played from the back. I think it was mainly produced from the midfield section. But again, Naby came out with the ball. He looked really controlled with the ball. Some good passing into midfield. Skinner just doing what he normally does. And I don't think they were tested at all. I mean, Hamer, that was one of those games the keeper's dying to play because it was, everything that came at him was straight at him. And obviously it was just a comfortable game for us at the back. So whether that was us and the way that we set up and nullified any of the dangers, is it Chair that played centre midfield? There was a lot of discussion about his quality on the ball and Hogg man marking him. I don't think that was the case. I just think we were just in positions to counter whatever they had. And like I say, I think it was more of a defensive team performance than anything. But I think the positives was the attacking.
Yeah, I think Phil's right. I think QPR have set up 4-2-3-1 all season, and there is that danger if you're not about your business in midfield that you can let them have a spare man, and it never worked that way at all. No. They were always on edge because of our attacking capability, and right from the start, as Phil said, it was a very, very comfortable watch and an easy afternoon for Town. And let's face it, we don't always make it that way for ourselves, do we?
Do you know? Yeah, we mentioned earlier about obviously we kind of I think we did let them off quite a lot, to be honest. Watching the game, I think there was quite a few stray passes in areas that we could have really punished them. So if that's the only thing we can complain about in today's game, it's not really a bad game, is it? Like you say, the composure throughout from the team was brilliant.
The second half performance just had a lot of composure around it, a professional second half performance. Like Mel said, we could have gone hell for leather going forwards and looking for that third goal. But instead of doing that, we were calm, composed. Like you said earlier as well, Phil, we just controlled the rest of the game then. It was ours to lose rather than going on and attack. We just looked like a more developed and a better game management in terms of the style and the team.
Yeah, definitely. I think there was probably a 20-minute phase within the second half where I think they probably had a little bit more possession than what we did. And it was probably no surprise that he moved Pippa more into a central area. And I think when it comes to times in the game like that, we do need to control the game better. It showed that today. And I think the legs in the midfield from the likes of Pippa, he's done it a few times, I've noticed, where he's tried pushing him up the pitch a little bit more. And his ability to run with the ball and make good decisions up the pitch, it's really surprising for a right back, to be honest. So you can see that he's thinking of different ways to counter certain parts of the games. But we don't seem to play the same way throughout, and I quite like that. I think sometimes he might get it wrong, sometimes he's going to get it right. You see him. There's a few times he was sat talking to Scully, and Scully had a little screen, and you could see him talking through tactics and how things are evolving through the game. And I like that. I like a thinking coach that wants to do that and not stuck in the ways and wanting to play in one way, trying to adapt it. And it was, like I say, it's worked today.
I think Pippa's made a really good return to the side, like Phil said earlier. And I mean, there was one just into the second half where he put a fantastic ball across for Josh Carome. And I think if Josh had just sort of held his frame a bit more and, slung his head at the ball, he would have scored another goal. And it was a brilliant cross. And there were a few times when he was involved on that right-hand side, Pippa, where you think, this guy's a really good footballer.
You're going to get a good end product, don't you? There's going to be something,
absolutely.
whether it's a passing side or whether it's a ball in behind the defence, you know that you're going to get that, which is what you need really as a striker and as a midfielder who's making that late run into the box.
Yeah, and I think their frustration, whether you could see, I think the 3 subs on by 55 minutes, they were desperately trying to find a cure and to solve the problems that they were having, and they couldn't do it.
No.
Yeah, and we said, Mel, all along that really a complete Town performance. We have to take our chances, be better in both boxes, and you could see the development in that today, and the team just, again, in both boxes, looks so much more assured.
Yeah, absolutely. I made a note before the game started that what we really needed out of this, ideally, was a clean sheet and a stronger display at the back, and to be more creative in the final third. And I think we were definitely both of those things. So there's plenty for Carlos to work on, looking to these games coming up. And it was a really encouraging performance. I'm sure the squad will have taken a lot out of today.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Mel, Phil, thank you very much for joining us. It was certainly a fantastic performance from Huddersfield Town at the John Smith Stadium, and we're delighted to have all 3 points going into the Sheffield Wednesday game on Tuesday. Thank you for joining us.